Greetings, folks. How are you all going today? I'm here to give my quick thoughts on the second issue of Titan Comics' Doctor Who Time Lord Victorious series, which should be Defender of the Daleks Part 2. Here we have it right here. Little beauty. Got David Tennant looking pretty cool on the cover there, surrounded by Daleks. Doesn't happen in the actual issue, but still a pretty cool cover. Quick recap for those of you who don't know, Time Lord Victorious is a Doctor Who crossover event happening in late 2020, which is spread across various Doctor Who media, that including novels, audio dramas, comics, etc., as well as some interactive events, things like that. It's featuring multiple Doctors, mainly the 9th, 10th, and 8th, 9th, and 10th Doctors, and all of these individual parts are basically seeming to be sort of standalone stories, but we're going to have these sort of threads that are connecting over different parts, and I guess we're not really going to know for sure exactly how everything interconnects until it's all over. Titan Comics' first Time Lord Victorious issue was the sort of beginning. I think it was the beginning of the actual event, and so it kickstarted everything. And in that issue, we saw the 10th Doctor being recruited by the Daleks, specifically the Dalek strategist, to go on a mission to Skaro to access these Dalek weapons to fight creatures called Vahond, which are these sort of mythical monsters from the Dark Times, and they shouldn't exist in the current timeline. So that's sort of, there's something afoot there. I guess that's tying into the sort of wider Time Lord Victorious story. Also of note was that the 10th Doctor realised that the Daleks had no memory of the Time War, so things are definitely sus. When we ended the last issue, the 10th Doctor, and the Dalek strategist were sort of done a bit of it was like a cool. Most of the story was them on Skaro interacting with one another, which I thought was really cool. I liked their interactions, and we ended with them being confronted by a Hond, and that's where things pick up in this issue. So let's see where things carry on from here. Basically, we open and we have the Doctor and Dalek facing the Hond, and the Dalek attempts to exterminate it. And at first it seems to work, but then we realise that it didn't. It didn't stick, as the Doctor says. It comes back to life. And before the Dalek went all zappy, the Doctor had tried to reason with the Hond, as he usually does. He found out that the Hond pretty much thinks that time is a lie, perception of time is wrong, and that all life needs to end only when time is observed. Well, it makes sense. And so a typical sort of megalomaniacal sort of idea. Then the Doctor's trying to reason it, the Dalek kills it, but then it comes back to life a second later anyway. But basically, before it resurrects, the Doctor, there's a bit of time where the Dalek strategist gets the Doctor to open this sort of weapons cache vault thing, and they have a bit of we get a bit more interaction between Ten and the Dalek strategist, which I really enjoy. He deduces that the reason, because this Dalek strategist if you remember, it wears an old battered casing, and it had previously said that it sort of wears out of pride, it wears its battle scales of pride, but the Doctor sort of deduces in this issue that it's more about it's being punished, that it failed somehow, and as punishment it's forced to wear this old, outdated, broken casing. But he still doesn't understand, and it seems like that's correct, but he doesn't understand why it'd be allowed to live in the first place if it failed. And the Dark strategist says that's because it hasn't really completely failed yet. They're still waiting to see if its plan works. Its plan being that they can get the Dalek's oldest enemy to help them, being the Doctor. So anyway, then the Hond comes back to life, and comes back to life and give a sort of cool little scene of it fighting the Dalek, and I think it's before the Dalek strategist gets battered a bit, and there's a really cool panel. Let's see if I can show it. I like this panel right here. I love that. You just see there's a crack, the casing's been cracked open, you can see the eye of the Khaled mutant inside peering through. I just think it looks really cool. I'm kind of surprised I've never seen more of that sort of thing. I think it looks really cool. So while the poor Dalek's getting thrashed about, the Doctor's doing some techno-babble with the sonic screwdriver as usual, and he manages to sort of imprison the Hond in this sort of energy cage thing. And the Doctor, he figures out a way to sort of do this for all of the Hond that are approaching Skaro. He sort of puts them in this giant cage thing, but that doesn't destroy them. And the Daleks sort of try using weapons on them, they don't work. It seems to make them stronger. The Doctor ends up figuring out because the Hon keeps saying how it hurts, pain, blah, stuff like that, and the Doctor realizes that that's the answer. That these Hon are actually sentient suffering, sort of like the concept of suffering and pain made sentient from back before the beginning of the universe, when these things are sort of still getting figured out, and they sort of crawled out of the primordial muck of the universe, which is an interesting concept. It's a cool idea, like, because I thought they looked like a generic monster, but this whole idea of them being sort of suffering made sentient, I like that. So they're not bad. Like, to them, they can't imagine existence outside of what they can experience. So to them, all life is suffering, and that is sort of the only kind thing to do, the only merciful thing to do is to end that. So they're much more sympathetic than you'd at first thought. And so the Doctor ends up, having it's a very typical Russell T Davies era, brilliant, Alonzi moment where he starts running around with the sonic screwdriver and showing me a techno babble, and you don't really know what it is meant to be doing, but like, it feels like a little bit of a letdown, because like, I don't hate the sonic screwdriver, I like the sonic screwdriver. But I do agree that sometimes it's used as a crutch, and it just feels like, we can just use a sonic screwdriver to do this, blah, blah, blah. And that is sort of what it feels like here. It feels like it's sort of a rushed Sonic whiz moment where he, a bit of technobabble, and then, but it's okay. I would have preferred, I like it more when the Doctor, you can sort of see the sort of plan, the reasoning, like you can sort of see what it is the Doctor's doing, rather than just waving a magic wand. But, I get the feeling I had to just, have a solution, end it quickly. This story is only the 2 issues, so I can feel like I didn't want it to be too drawn out. So yeah, I can understand. The Sonic's an easy get out of jail free card. But so anyway, he does his Sonic stuff and lets the Honda sort of released. The Daleks think he's destroyed him, and he's like, "Oh, you would see it like that, wouldn't you?" But so it's sort of hard to see what he did to him exactly. But the Hon seem that they thank him. So I guess that he sort of put them out of their misery of being released into the universe or something. I don't know. They're gone. They're destroyed. And then because the Doctors help the Daleks save him from a Hon, there's like, guess what? We're stabbing him in the back. They said he's no longer used to them, so we're going to exterminate him. And it's a nice moment when, because the Doctor's talking to a strategist, and he says how, like, this is your plan all along, wasn't it? And he's like, well, I am, after all, still a Dalek. Because he had a lot of personality, the Dalek strategist, and the Doctor and him had a lot of banter and stuff. So I like that. Like, you can see, like, maybe the Doctor had a slight glimmer of hope that maybe he'd be different. But yeah, but the Doctor, he's smart, he's prepared for this. And some more techno-babble, you don't really get, it's just more Sonic-y stuff. He, apparently when he rigged up the Hon to be destroyed, he also did something else, and they suddenly get explosions and stuff, and Daleks are blowing up, and you don't really get a proper idea of what happened, but it's cool. Like I said, I feel like I just needed to be able to wrap things up. You can tell it's just like, I didn't have the space to sort of do anything too elaborate, so it's just, he sonics some stuff, and stuff blew up, and he runs out of there. But running out of there, he runs into a certain someone. Now, this is a pretty big spoiler, if you don't want to hear this, but fair warning. He runs into the 13th Doctor, who apparently, from what I can gather, he'd had an adventure with before this Time Lord Victorious story started. I haven't been keeping up with the Doctor Who comics in Titan Comics for a while now, so I'm not sure, but apparently, he'd teamed up with her before. But she pretty much like helps him get out of there, drops him back off of his own TARDIS and his own timeline. We sort of allude to the fact that they'd met each other before, but the 10th Doctor's forgotten, and there's a paradox and stuff, and they make a reference to it, still not, he's like, he's still not Ginger, so that was nice, a nice little callback, seen as a, that joke's been well and truly dropped from a TV show by the looks of it. It's nice to have a nice callback to it. But, she drops him back off at his TARDIS and she goes away. So I don't know if that's meant to serve a bigger purpose or whether it's just some sort of like little, look, surprise. Because it does feel like a bit of a cheat, but literally just, 13th Doctor shows up and saves him. And okay, but I don't know. Like, in the broader context of Time Lord Victorious, it might be important. I don't know. As far as I know, she's not playing a part in the wider story, but I could be wrong. It also could tie into this other adventure they had before this story. I'm not sure. But it was okay, it's one of those little, oh my gosh moments. And we end up with like the 10th Doctor's in his TARDIS, still saying how like he dared to hope that there were a good Dalek, it could be different, but he's pretty much saying, he's optimistic, like he'd rather be the one who has hope, even if it does make him a fool sometimes, it's better to have hope, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know if this is sort of like, because the sort of whole Time Lord Victorious idea came from a 10th Doctor in Waters of Mars when he declares himself the Time Lord Victorious. So, and the cover, the art for the Time Lord Victorious event prominently features the 10th Doctor looking sort of battle-scarred, wearing the Gallifreyan robe. So I don't know if this emphasis on him being this hopeful, optimistic Time Lord is going to be related to his sort of character arc throughout the whole event, what's going to happen to him. I assume he's going to go down a dark path, so I'm assuming that's why we're getting this sort of happy 10th Doctor being the optimist to contrast to that. But as he gets to the point where he becomes the Time Lord Victorious. But anyway, then we cut back to the Daleks, and they're saying how like the mission was a failure because there were 2 Doctors and that was unexpected. And then we get a nice little surprise cliffhanger to end on, because this is another spoiler if you don't want to hear, because the Dalek strategist essentially, like, he sort of has to defend himself against the other Daleks, and he says how like the Doctor's escape doesn't impede his plans. This is the Doctor will still be of use to us, but this is the panel we end on. Yeah, that's right. We got the 8th Doctor there. Paul McGann's 8th Doctor, and he's in his classic TV movie outfit, not the Time War outfit, which we tend to see more often these days in Big Finish and things like that. So that's actually got me excited, because the 8th Doctor is my second favourite Doctor. I love Paul McGann to death. Anyone who's not familiar with the 8th Doctor, get on to Big Finish audios and listen to 8th Doctor Adventures, or watch the TV movie even, because that was his sole TV appearance. But it's not the best, but he's an amazing Doctor. Or most people are probably at least familiar with the Night of the Doctor mini episodes from a 50th anniversary, where you saw him regenerate into a War Doctor. And honestly, get on top of the 8th Doctor if you haven't already. So that's got me interested, excited, okay? Like, we already knew the 8th Doctor was playing a big part in Time Lord Victorious, but I falls mainly through Big Finish audios, but so I guess he's going to be appearing in comics as well. I don't know. It says that the next of these comics is going to be a new #1, so I guess it's going to be a new story. Don't know if it's going to be connected to this or separate. It's sort of hard to tell how all the different things are connecting in this event, so yeah, it could be continuing straight on from this. It could be something completely different. I have no idea. But really excited to see how 8 plays into this part. But anyway, guys, yeah, so that's those are my thoughts on Dark Horse Comics. Oh, not Dark Horse. Sorry, Titan Comics. I just read the new Bill and Ted comic, and I've got Dark Horse on my mind. Titan Comics, Doctor Who, Time Lord Victorious, Defender of the Daleks, #2. So if you've read it, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. And yeah, I hope let me know your thoughts in general about Time Lord Victorious, if you've been keeping up to it. Yeah, tell me what you think. It's very unique, so, you know, everyone's got different opinions on it. Anyway, guys, take care. If you want to check out my other Time Lord Victorious reviews, I've got a playlist for that. If you want to check out some more comic reviews of covering other comics, various things, I've got a playlist of that too. You know, have a poke around, see what you like. Take care, guys, and hope to see you later.